Captain Ethan Vale adjusted the controls of his small exploratory ship as it descended toward the planet Zifra. The view from the cockpit was breathtaking. The swirling blue and green atmosphere stretched across the horizon, punctuated by towering crystalline structures that shimmered in the sunlight. Humanity had charted hundreds of planets, but few had the strange beauty and mystery of Zifra. Ethan had been chosen for this mission not just because of his skills, but because of his calm judgment and ability to communicate with other species. Humanity had always been curious, sometimes reckless, but Ethan embodied the best of what humans could offer: intelligence, empathy, and courage. The landing was smoother than expected. The ship's anti-gravity thrusters glided over the surface, finally coming to a gentle stop on a platform carved from a material that looked like glass, but held the hardness of steel. Ethan stepped out, taking his first careful steps on Zifran soil. It was warm beneath his boots, soft yet firm, like walking on sun-warmed sand. Before him stood a city unlike any Earth had ever known. Towering spires spiraled toward the sky, glowing with shifting colors that seemed almost alive. Strange plants grew alongside crystalline walkways, their petals radiating a soft light. And in the distance, he could see figures moving gracefully, their shapes elegant and unfamiliar. As Ethan surveyed the city, a voice interrupted his thoughts. "Welcome, Captain Vale." He turned to see a figure approaching. She was taller than humans, with skin that shimmered faintly like silver under the light, and eyes of deep violet. Her movements were graceful, almost dance-like, yet precise. She wore a long robe embroidered with patterns that seemed to shift when he looked away. "I am Princess Lyra," she said, bowing slightly. "Your arrival was expected." Ethan felt a mixture of awe and caution. He had trained for encounters with alien species, but nothing could prepare him for meeting a royal being of another world. Yet her smile was warm, and her voice had a gentle, sincere tone. "Thank you, Princess Lyra," Ethan said, bowing in return. "I am honored to be here. Your planet, it is remarkable." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Zifra has long awaited the chance to meet humans. We have watched your species from afar. Your curiosity, your courage, it is unlike anything we have observed before." Ethan felt a surge of pride. Humans had often been underestimated in the galaxy. Other species saw them as fragile, inexperienced, or reckless. Yet here, on this distant world, his species was seen with respect. That realization filled him with determination. "I hope we can build a friendship between our worlds," Ethan said. "I believe humans and Zifrans have much to learn from one another." Lyra nodded. "I believe so too. But first, you must see Zifra as it truly is. Follow me." She led him through the city, pointing out features and sharing stories. The architecture was more than beauty, it was functional, alive with technology that seemed to blend seamlessly with nature. Buildings responded to the presence of inhabitants, shifting and expanding to accommodate needs. Roads and bridges reconfigured themselves automatically, guided by the planet's subtle energy. Ethan was amazed. On Earth, even the most advanced cities were rigid, mechanical. Zifra seemed alive, intuitive, almost magical. As they walked, Lyra spoke of her people, their history, and their philosophy. "We value knowledge, creativity, and harmony," she said. "But we also recognize strength. The galaxy is full of challenges, and those who cannot adapt are lost." Ethan listened carefully. There was a wisdom in her words, a reflection of values that were surprisingly human. He felt a connection forming, not just a diplomatic exchange, but a genuine respect between two individuals from different worlds. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. A figure appeared above them on a high balcony, watching silently. Her presence was commanding, radiating authority without a word. Lyra's expression softened, but Ethan noticed a tension in her posture. "That is the Queen," Lyra said quietly, her voice almost reverent. "My mother observes all visitors. She does not interfere unless necessary." Ethan inclined his head respectfully. The Queen's silence was not cold, but powerful. He sensed that every word, every action, was weighed carefully in her mind. Humanity had never met a leader like this, and he felt both nervous and curious. Lyra led him to a large chamber filled with devices and screens, showing holographic maps of Zifra and the surrounding star systems. Ethan marveled at the technology. It was advanced, elegant, and clearly designed to protect and nurture life. This, Lyra explained, is our council hall. Here, decisions about Zifra are made, but humans are not allowed to interfere. You are a guest, Captain Vale, and you must understand the delicate balance of our world. Ethan nodded. He understood the honor and the responsibility of being here. Every action he took could be interpreted as a gesture of trust or disrespect. Lyra paused, her eyes meeting his. I would like to show you something more personal, she said. Something that humans might not understand at first, but I believe you will appreciate. She led him to a large observation deck overlooking a crystalline garden. The garden shimmered with plants that reacted to movement, releasing gentle lights and fragrances. Birds, unlike any Ethan had seen, flitted through the air, leaving trails of glowing dust. The scene was serene, almost dreamlike. This garden, Lyra said, represents harmony. Every plant, every creature, contributes to the balance of life on Zifra. We strive to protect that balance, even when it is difficult. Ethan walked slowly, absorbing the beauty and complexity. It is incredible, he said. I've never seen anything like this. On Earth, we try, but we are far from this level of harmony. Lyra smiled. Your species has potential, Captain Vale. You have the courage, the curiosity, and the ingenuity to reach far beyond your world. That is why I am here to learn from you as much as you learn from us. For a moment, Ethan felt a strange bond with her. It was more than diplomacy. It was a meeting of minds across species. He felt hope, excitement, and the weight of responsibility all at once. Yet even as he marveled at the beauty and the possibilities, a small doubt lingered in the back of his mind. Lyra's words were sincere, but something about the way the queen watched silently, hidden in the shadows, made him pause. He could not tell if her silence was approval, suspicion, or something else entirely. But he pushed the thought aside. Humanity had always faced the unknown with courage, and Ethan Vale intended to do the same. He trusted in his instincts, in his training, and in the goodness of his species. As the sun of Zifra set, casting long shadows across the crystalline city, Ethan looked out over the horizon. He felt a thrill of excitement. This was only the beginning of his journey, and he knew that the choices he made in the coming days could shape the future of not just Earth, but all of humanity's place in the galaxy. Lyra's hand touched his arm lightly, drawing him from his thoughts. Come, she said. The next morning, Zifra's sky glowed in soft pastels, casting a gentle light over the crystalline city. Captain Ethan Vale woke in his guest quarters aboard the palace wing, still awed by the beauty and calm of the planet. He dressed carefully, feeling the weight of responsibility that had settled on his shoulders. Today, Princess Lyra had promised to show him something important, something that could help him understand Zifra even more deeply. Ethan met Lyra in the central courtyard, where the crystalline tiles sparkled under the morning sun. She greeted him with a smile that seemed warmer than the day itself. Good morning, Captain Vale, she said. Are you ready for what lies ahead? I am, Ethan replied, his voice steady. I want to learn as much as I can. Lyra's expression grew slightly serious. Then you must trust me. What I am about to ask is unusual, but it is necessary. Curiosity stirred in Ethan. He had been trained for the unknown, but there was something in Lyra's tone that suggested both importance and danger. What do you mean? He asked. There's an artifact, Lyra explained, her eyes glinting. It is ancient, from before even my people can remember. It holds knowledge and power, the kind that can influence the course of civilizations. I need you to retrieve it. Ethan's brow furrowed. Retrieve it? From where? Lyra gestured toward a distant range of violet mountains, their peaks glowing faintly in the morning light. Beyond those mountains lies the shimmering expanse. The artifact rests there, protected by the environment itself. Only a being with adaptability and courage can reach it. Humans are uniquely capable in ways we admire. Ethan felt a surge of pride. Humans were often underestimated by alien civilizations, but here, Lyra openly acknowledged their resilience and ingenuity. Yet, something in her eyes seemed almost hidden, as if she were keeping a secret. "I will do my best," he said, determination settling in his chest. "But why me?" Lyra smiled faintly. "Because, Captain Vale, you are not only brave but also thoughtful. You think before acting, yet you do not hesitate when it matters. That is what this mission requires." Ethan nodded, accepting the challenge. He gathered his exploration gear, relying on both human ingenuity and the small devices Zifrins had lent him. As he approached the landing platform for the exploration shuttle, Lyra placed a hand on his arm. "Be careful," she said softly. "The expanse is beautiful, but it is unforgiving. Trust in yourself and remember what you have learned here." Ethan smiled faintly, though a small flicker of doubt lingered in his mind. He had a sense that there was more to this mission than she had said, but he chose to trust her. Humanity thrived on trust, on taking risks when the stakes were high, and he would not shrink from this one. The shuttle rose smoothly, leaving the city behind. As Zifra's beauty receded beneath him, Ethan focused on the journey ahead. The shimmering expanse was unlike any place he had ever encountered. It was a vast region of shifting crystals, floating platforms, and glowing energy streams. The air shimmered with colors that seemed alive, and the terrain changed constantly, as if the land itself were testing his resolve. Ethan landed the shuttle on a relatively stable platform and stepped out. His human senses immediately picked up the dangers. The ground shifted unpredictably. Energy currents flowed like invisible rivers, and faint, haunting sounds echoed through the crystalline expanse. He moved carefully, relying on both logic and instinct. Hours passed as he navigated the ever-changing terrain. At times, he climbed crystalline ridges, only to have the structures rearrange themselves beneath him. At other times, he needed to leap across floating platforms, trusting the strength of materials he could barely comprehend. Yet, Ethan's determination never wavered. His mind, sharp and adaptable, allowed him to solve problems quickly, improvising tools and techniques from both human experience and Zifran technology. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he reached a secluded chamber. The walls glowed faintly with ancient symbols, and at the center rested a pedestal holding the artifact. It was a small crystal orb, shimmering with an inner light that pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. Ethan approached cautiously, sensing the power contained within Dot as he reached out to take it. A sudden energy barrier flared to life, surrounding the pedestal. Ethan froze. The artifact was protected not by weapons or creatures, but by the intelligence of the planet itself. He studied the patterns, realizing that each pulse of energy followed a rhythm, almost like a language, drawing on his human intuition and ability to learn quickly. Ethan experimented with the rhythm, adjusting his movements in harmony with the pulses. Slowly, carefully, the energy barrier receded, and he lifted the artifact. A soft hum filled the chamber, and the light of the orb reflected in his eyes. Ethan felt a thrill of triumph. Humans were adaptable, capable of understanding and overcoming challenges even in environments far beyond their home world. This was a moment that reminded him of the resilience of his species. But as he turned to leave, a strange feeling settled over him. Something was not right. He glanced around the chamber and noticed subtle traces, small, deliberate marks in the crystal walls that had not been there before. Someone had been watching him. He stepped out into the shifting expanse again, artifact in hand, moving carefully toward the shuttle. His instincts, honed by years of exploration, told him that this mission was more than a simple retrieval. He sensed that Lyra had not been entirely truthful about the artifact's purpose. Ethan shook off the unease and focused on the journey back. The expanse seemed even more alive on his return, almost as if it recognized the change in him. Obstacles that had been manageable on the way and now required even greater precision. Yet he relied on his resourcefulness to navigate them. Finally, the shuttle came into view. Ethan landed and secured the artifact, taking a moment to catch his breath. The mission had been successful, yet the sense of unease persisted. He remembered Lyra's warm words, her encouragement, and the trust she had placed in him. And yet, he could not ignore the feeling that he had been guided here for reasons he did not fully understand. D-Dot, as the shuttle lifted off, Ethan gazed down at the planet. Zifra was breathtaking, and the people he had met were remarkable. But a quiet warning echoed in his mind. Not all beauty concealed honesty, and even the kindest gestures could hide motives unknown. When he returned to the palace, Lyra awaited him in the central courtyard. Her smile was bright, and she clapped lightly as the shuttle landed. "You have done well, Captain Vale," she said. "I knew you would succeed." Ethan handed her the artifact, noting the way her eyes glimmered in the afternoon light. There was pride there, yes, but also something he could not read. He studied her carefully. "The journey was difficult," he said. "The expanse is unlike anything I have ever seen." Lyra nodded. "It tests the heart, mind, and spirit. Only those worthy may return with the artifact, and you have proven your worth." Ethan hesitated, then asked quietly, "Princess, may I ask, why me? Why send a human to retrieve this artifact?" Lyra's smile faltered for a moment, subtle but noticeable. "Because, Captain Vale, humans are capable of seeing possibilities that others cannot. You trust, yet you question. You act, yet you think. That is why you were chosen." Ethan studied her closely. There was truth in her words, but also a hint of concealment. Captain Ethan Vale woke to the soft glow of Zifra's morning sun filtering through the crystalline walls of the palace. The previous day's mission had been exhausting, yet exhilarating. He had succeeded where few could have, retrieving the ancient artifact from the shimmering expanse. But a quiet unease lingered in his mind, like a shadow at the edge of light. Something about Princess Lyra's manner, subtle as it was, did not sit right with him. After a simple meal of Zifran fruit and nutrient-rich beverages, Lyra arrived at his quarters. Her smile was bright, welcoming, yet there was a tension in her eyes that Ethan could not place. "Good morning, Captain Vale," she said. "I hope your rest was sufficient. Today, we will study the artifact together. Its secrets are many, and only careful examination will reveal its purpose." Ethan nodded. He followed her to a private chamber filled with holographic displays and Zifran devices designed to analyze energy and matter. The artifact, resting on a pedestal, pulsed softly, as if alive. Lyra activated the devices, and streams of light danced around the orb, revealing faint patterns and symbols. Ethan leaned in, marveling at the complexity. "It is extraordinary," he said. "The technology here is beyond anything I've seen, even compared to human advancements." Lyra smiled, but her expression was guarded. "Yes, but it is not just technology. This artifact holds knowledge, power, potential. It can shape civilizations, if used wisely." Ethan's brow furrowed. "Used wisely? By whom?" Lyra hesitated, her gaze shifting slightly. "That is where understanding is needed. It is a responsibility, Captain Vale." Ethan studied her closely, sensing a subtle hesitation. Something in the way she avoided direct explanation sparked a flicker of suspicion. He remembered the subtle marks in the crystalline chamber of the shimmering expanse. The feeling of being watched. Slowly, a realization began to take shape. "I need to know the truth, Princess," Ethan said firmly. "Why did you send me to retrieve this artifact? What is its real purpose?" Lyra's face remained composed, but her eyes flickered briefly, betraying a shadow of unease. "Captain, I trusted you to follow the mission. You succeeded brilliantly. But the artifact, it is more complex than you know." Ethan's heart pounded. "Princess Lyra, I can handle the truth. I need honesty. Are humans meant to use this, or is there another plan?" For a long moment, Lyra was silent. Then, quietly, almost reluctantly, she spoke. "It was not meant for humans, Ethan. Not entirely. The artifact, it can influence other worlds. If placed in the wrong hands, it could give my people control." Ethan's stomach tightened. "Control? You mean domination?" Lyra's eyes looked away, and her voice softened. "I wanted to see if you would succeed. I needed someone who could reach it, who could navigate the expanse. That was my test. You passed. But the artifact's true purpose is not as simple as I led you to believe." Ethan felt a cold weight settle over him. The woman he had come to respect, even admire, had not been fully truthful. His mission had been manipulated, and he had been used as a tool. Yet, alongside the betrayal, a familiar determination rose within him. Humans were not helpless pawns. They faced adversity with courage, resilience, and clear judgment. "I see," Ethan said carefully. "So I was a test? A means to an end." Lyra's face softened with regret. "Not a test of your loyalty or character. A test of capability. And you proved more capable than I expected." Ethan straightened, his resolve hardening. "Then I will not be part of whatever plan you had. I will not hand over this artifact for purposes I cannot support. If your goal is domination or control, I refuse to participate." Lyra's expression changed in an instant. Shock, disbelief, and a flicker of anger passed over her face. "Captain Vale, you cannot do that. You do not understand the stakes. This artifact, without it, my people could be lost." Ethan shook his head. "No one is lost when truth and morality guide actions. Humans do not take part in schemes that harm others. That is our strength, and it is why I cannot follow your plan." The tension in the room thickened, almost tangible. Lyra stepped closer, her voice lower, almost pleading. "You cannot know what you are refusing. You think you understand morality, but the galaxy is not kind. Without decisive action, many will suffer." Ethan looked into her eyes, steady and calm. "I understand enough. I know the right path, and it is not the one you are asking me to take." A long silence followed. Lyra's chest rose and fell, her hands trembling slightly. Ethan felt the weight of the moment. Trust had been broken, and choices had consequences. Yet he also felt a quiet pride. Humans thrived because they could stand for what they believed, even in the face of pressure, fear, or advanced alien manipulation. Suddenly, a low hum filled the room. The artifact pulsed more rapidly, as if responding to the tension in the chamber. Ethan realized it was sensitive to emotion and intention, reacting to the contrast between human integrity and alien ambition. He tightened his grip on the secure case he had prepared to carry it. "I will take the artifact back," Ethan said firmly, "and I will ensure it is protected, not used as a weapon." Lyra's voice wavered, soft but urgent. "Captain Vale, if you do this, there will be consequences. Not all of my people will see your actions as honorable." Ethan met her gaze evenly. "I am aware, but morality is not decided by fear of consequences. It is decided by what is right. And what is right is clear to me." As he prepared to leave the chamber, he felt a presence behind him. The Queen stood at the doorway, her expression calm, almost unreadable. Ethan paused, studying her. "You have made a choice," she said quietly, her voice holding authority without anger. "You have acted with courage and judgment. That is rare among humans, and rare among any species." Ethan felt a flicker of relief. The Queen's words were a quiet acknowledgement, a recognition of his strength. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said respectfully. The Queen's gaze shifted briefly to Lyra. "Your daughter has made errors in judgment. She has underestimated him. Let this be a lesson, not only for your people, but for all who seek to manipulate others." Lyra's face flushed with embarrassment and frustration, yet there was no open defiance. Ethan sensed that even she recognized the wisdom in the Queen's observation. With the Queen's silent blessing, Ethan moved to secure the artifact. He knew his next steps would be difficult. He could not simply walk away. He had to protect the artifact, ensure its safety, and navigate the delicate balance between trust and caution. Outside, the crystalline city glimmered under the afternoon sun. People moved through the streets, unaware of the silent tension unfolding in the palace. Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humans might be considered fragile, limited, or inexperienced by alien civilizations, but their strength lay not in raw power. Captain Ethan Vale paced the shuttle bay, holding the artifact carefully in his hands. The soft hum of its energy filled the small cabin, a reminder of the immense responsibility now resting on him. He had discovered the truth. Princess Lyra had not been honest about the artifact's purpose. While she had claimed it would help humans, its true function could grant her people control over other worlds. Ethan could not allow that. The question now was how to proceed. He knew confronting Lyra directly could lead to conflict, And he also knew that the queen, her mother, watched silently from the shadows. Perhaps she could be reasoned with. Perhaps, even, she would understand the value of human integrity. With resolve, Ethan made his way to the queen's observation balcony. He had seen her from afar, her calm and unreadable gaze always fixed on him, Lyra, and the palace grounds. Now, he would speak to her directly. The queen regarded him with her usual serenity, standing tall and composed. "Captain Vale," she said, her voice calm but carrying weight, "I see you have returned." "I have," Ethan replied respectfully, "and I need your guidance. I have learned the truth about the artifact and the purpose for which my mission was designed. I cannot allow it to be used to control or harm others." The queen's eyes narrowed slightly, but there was no anger, only measured curiosity. "You understand the gravity of your words," she said. "You speak not only for yourself, but for your species. And yet, your choice may disrupt the plans of Zifra." Ethan met her gaze evenly. "I am aware, but humanity measures strength not only by power, but by moral clarity, courage, and the ability to choose what is right. That is what I offer my judgment in the protection of the artifact from misuse." The queen studied him silently for a long moment. Then, finally, she spoke. "Your species, humans, you act differently than we expected. While other civilizations might act with fear, aggression, or calculation, you act with principle. You think, yet you do not hesitate to act when necessary. That is unusual, admirable." Ethan felt a flicker of hope. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I believe collaboration, understanding, and integrity are the keys to progress. I hope we can find a solution that benefits both our peoples." The queen nodded slowly. "Perhaps we can, but your defiance of the princess has consequences. Lyra is strong-willed and passionate. She will not accept your refusal lightly. You must be prepared for her reaction." Ethan took a deep breath. "I am ready. I do not seek conflict, but I will protect what is right." A faint smile touched the queen's lips. "Then we shall work together." With the queen's guidance, Ethan devised a plan. They would neutralize the artifact's potential for misuse without igniting a conflict that could endanger Zifra or Earth. The queen provided insight into the artifact's functions, its connection to Zifra's energy network, and its vulnerabilities. Ethan, using human ingenuity and quick thinking, suggested modifications and safeguards that even the queen had not considered. "This is remarkable," the queen said, her tone filled with respect. "Humans possess creativity and adaptability that even we struggle to match. Your suggestions, they will save countless lives should they be implemented." Ethan felt a quiet sense of pride. Humans were small compared to Zifrans, physically and technologically, but their true power lay in their minds and hearts. They could face deception, danger, and advanced alien strategies and still choose wisely. As they worked, Lyra appeared. She had overheard some of their discussion and immediately reacted with frustration and indignation. "Captain Vale," she exclaimed, "what are you doing? You cannot betray your mission. This artifact is essential for Zifra's future." Ethan faced her calmly. "Princess Lyra, I am not betraying anyone. I am preventing harm. Your plan could endanger multiple worlds, including Earth. I cannot allow that." Lyra's eyes flashed with anger. "You do not understand. Without this, my people will suffer. Without the artifact, we may fall behind, and the galaxy will leave us behind." Ethan shook his head. "Progress built on deception and control is not true progress. Humanity has learned that strength and wisdom come from cooperation, integrity, and moral clarity. That is what I uphold." Lyra's fist clenched, but she realized her arguments held no power over him. There was no fear in his stance, only determination and reason. For the first time, she seemed to see him not as a mere human, but as an equal in intellect and courage. The queen intervened, her voice calm but firm. "Lyra, your daughter, your ambition, must not cloud judgment. Humans have shown strength in their moral clarity. We must learn from this example." Lyra's gaze fell, and for a moment, Ethan saw a flicker of understanding. Though she was still frustrated, she recognized the queen's wisdom. The silent acknowledgement of human integrity was not lost on her. Together, Ethan and the Queen implemented safeguards on the artifact. They created barriers, encryption, and energy dampeners to ensure it could not be misused. Ethan suggested subtle modifications that allowed the artifact to retain its knowledge-sharing capacity, while eliminating its potential for control or coercion. The Queen incorporated his ideas, nodding with approval. "This is remarkable," she said again. "Your species is exceptional. You have created solutions even we could not foresee. Humans are small in size, yet capable of immense wisdom and courage." Ethan smiled faintly, feeling the quiet pride of his people. Humans were often underestimated by the galaxy, but in moments like this, their true value shone. Courage, ingenuity, and morality, these were qualities that could influence civilizations far larger and stronger than themselves. Lyra, still watching, finally spoke softly. "I see now. Perhaps I underestimated humans. Perhaps I underestimated you, Ethan." Ethan regarded her evenly. "Respect is earned through actions, Princess. You may learn from this, just as I have learned from Zifra." Lyra nodded slowly, a mixture of humility and lingering frustration in her expression. "I will consider what you have done. Perhaps there is a better path than the one I had chosen." The Queen watched silently, a faint smile forming. "Let this be a lesson for both our peoples. Strength is not measured by control, but by wisdom, courage, and the ability to do what is right." Ethan felt a sense of relief, but also awareness that challenges remained. Lyra's ambition and ingenuity could still create complications, and he knew that future interactions would require careful navigation. Yet, with the Queen's support, he had achieved something remarkable. He had prevented potential harm and demonstrated the true strength of humanity. As the day drew to a close, Ethan and the Queen observed the artifact from the balcony. Zifra stretched below them, crystalline structures glowing softly in the evening light. The planet was vibrant, alive, and full of possibility. "You have done well," the Queen said, "not only in protecting the artifact, but in demonstrating what humans can achieve. You act with clarity, courage, and integrity. Your species is capable of shaping the galaxy in ways even we have not imagined." Ethan nodded. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Humans have much to learn, but we also have the ability to rise to challenges, to face deception, and to do what is right even when it is difficult." The Queen regarded him for a long. The morning sun rose over Zifra, casting soft golden light across the crystalline city. Captain Ethan Vale stood on the balcony of the Queen's palace, the artifact safely secured within a specially designed containment unit. The mission was nearly complete, yet the tension in the air remained. He knew Princess Lyra had not fully accepted the consequences of her actions, and the potential for conflict still lingered. Ethan's thoughts were interrupted by the soft, deliberate footsteps of the Queen approaching from behind. She stood beside him silently for a moment, watching the glowing city below. "You have done well, Captain Vale," she said quietly, "not only in protecting the artifact, but in your approach to this situation. Your judgment has preserved balance and prevented what could have been catastrophic." Ethan bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only acted according to what humans value: integrity, courage, and responsibility. I could not allow harm to others." The Queen's gaze softened. "It is rare to see such clarity in any species. Even those with advanced knowledge can falter when ambition clouds judgment. You, however, acted with both wisdom and courage. That is what makes humans remarkable." Ethan felt a quiet pride. Humanity had often been underestimated, dismissed as fragile or reckless. Yet here, in the heart of an alien civilization far more advanced than Earth, his actions had earned respect. He felt the weight of that accomplishment, but also the responsibility it carried. At that moment, Lyra appeared, her expression a mixture of frustration, shame, and tentative curiosity. She approached slowly, keeping her gaze on Ethan rather than the artifact. "Captain Vale," she began, her voice soft, I see now that I was wrong. My actions were selfish, and I allowed ambition to cloud my judgment. I cannot undo what I intended, but I can learn from what you have shown me." Ethan met her gaze evenly, noting the subtle shift in her demeanor. She was still young, still learning, but she had the potential to grow. Princess Lyra, what matters is that you recognize the choice between ambition and morality. You have a chance to change the path of your actions. That is more important than any mistake made in ignorance. Lyra's eyes glimmered with a faint sense of humility. I will try. For my people, and perhaps for others as well. The queen stepped forward, placing a hand gently on Lyra's shoulder. Learning and growth are a part of every life, Lyra. Even leaders must recognize the value of wisdom and the strength of integrity. Captain Vale has shown both. Let his example guide you. Lyra nodded, slowly absorbing the weight of the lesson. She glanced at Ethan again, this time with a hint of respect. Thank you, she said quietly. Ethan turned his attention to the artifact. Its gentle hum seemed to pulse in rhythm with his own heartbeat, a reminder of the responsibility it carried. With the Queen's guidance, they activated a final set of safeguards to ensure it could not be misused. Energy shields, encryption protocols, and interplanetary locks were applied. Even if someone tried to manipulate it in the future, the artifact would remain safe. This is secure, Ethan said, his voice steady. No one can use it to harm others now. Its knowledge can be shared safely, but its power cannot be misused. The Queen regarded him with approval. You have done more than secure an artifact. You have shown that humans, even small and young compared to Zifrans, possess wisdom, courage, and integrity that can rival or even surpass those of more advanced civilizations. That is a rare and valuable trait, Ethan nodded. Humanity has always thrived in the face of challenges. We make mistakes, yes, but we learn. And when faced with choices, we strive to do what is right even when it is difficult. Lyra stepped closer, her voice quiet but sincere. I see now that humans are capable of things I did not expect. Not just bravery, but clarity and the ability to act with honor even when tempted otherwise. You have shown me that strength is not just power, but character. Ethan allowed himself a small smile. That is humanity's greatest strength, and it is not limited to one person. My species is capable of extraordinary things when we act together, guided by principle and courage. For a long moment, the three of them stood in silence, the artifact glowing softly between them. Outside, Zifra City pulsed with life and beauty. Oblivious to the tension and resolution taking place within the palace, finally, the Queen spoke again. This day marks a beginning, not just an ending. Humans have proven themselves capable of understanding, integrity, and courage. Let this be the foundation for a new relationship between our peoples. Ethan bowed slightly. It would be an honor, Your Majesty. Humanity hopes to learn, to cooperate, and to grow alongside other civilizations. And perhaps, in time, we can teach as well as learn. The Queen's eyes softened. A rare gesture of warmth. You have shown us the value of trust, courage, and wisdom. Let this understanding guide our future interactions. For now, you have earned rest, Captain Vale. Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of relief and accomplishment. He had faced deception, uncertainty, and the challenge of navigating alien politics. Yet he had prevailed. More importantly, he had demonstrated the best of what humanity could offer: courage, integrity, and wisdom. As the day progressed, Lyra approached him one final time before he departed. Captain Vale, she said softly, I do not know what the future holds, but I hope that humans and Zifrans can find a way to trust each other. You have set an example I will not forget. Ethan smiled. That is all I can hope for, Princess. Trust must be earned and nurtured, and it can grow stronger when guided by honesty and courage. Lyra nodded, a small smile forming. Perhaps someday we will work together to create something better for our peoples, and I will try to act with the wisdom you have shown. Ethan felt a quiet satisfaction. The young princess had learned a lesson, but more importantly, humanity had been recognized not for strength and force, but strength and character. That was a victory beyond any technological advancement or battlefield success. With the artifacts secured and safeguards in place, Ethan prepared to depart Zifra. The shuttle rose smoothly from the platform, leaving the crystalline city behind. He looked back one last time, seeing the Queen on her balcony and Lyra retreating to her chambers. A sense of calm and hope settled over him. The journey back to Earth would be long. But Ethan carried more than the artifact. He carried knowledge, experience, and the affirmation that humanity's strength lay not in numbers or weapons, but in courage, wisdom, and moral clarity. As Zifra receded into the distance, Ethan reflected on the lessons learned. Lyra's deception had been a challenge, but it had revealed the potential for growth, understanding, and cooperation. The Queen's guidance had shown that even advanced civilizations could recognize and respect the value of human integrity, and he had proven to himself and to Zifra that humans could act with both intelligence and honor in situations far beyond their homeworld. Ethan glanced at the stars, twinkling like distant beacons of possibility. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown civilizations, challenges, and opportunities. Yet he felt confident. Humanity, small in size but mighty in courage and wisdom, was ready to meet those challenges. He imagined the future, humans and Zifrans working together, sharing knowledge, and learning from one another. He imagined a galaxy where decisions were guided by principle, integrity, and collaboration, rather than fear or domination. And he felt a surge of pride for his species, for the qualities that had carried them through centuries of exploration, struggle, and discovery. The artifact's soft glow reminded him of the responsibility humanity held not just for themselves, but for the worlds they touched. The mission had been dangerous, filled with deception and uncertainty, yet the outcome had been positive. Humanity had demonstrated that even in the face of manipulation, fear, and temptation, they could act wisely and justly. As the shuttle traveled through the stars, Ethan allowed himself a moment of reflection. He thought of Lyra, young and ambitious, now tempered by understanding. He thought of the Queen, wise and observant, now aware of the value humans could bring. And he thought of humanity, small but determined, capable of courage, ingenuity, and moral clarity that could influence the course of civilizations. For a long moment, silence filled the shuttle, broken only by the soft hum of the artifact's energy. And in that quiet, Ethan felt hope not just for himself or for Zifra, but for humanity's place among the stars.